You are listening to Making It, the path to beauty industry greatness with Canvas Me, where we go behind the scenes to explore the human side of beauty professionals, learn how they found balance in their lives, overcame obstacles, and created communities that transcend the ordinary. Hosted by Canvas Me co-founders Jen and Matt Martinelli alongside Canvas Me directors April and Megan, Making It is your guide to navigating the ever-evolving world of beauty.
Welcome to Making It, your backstage pass to beauty. I'm April, and we are joined by Devon Stone today, whose hairstyling journey evolved from a small town to a thriving career. After a game-changing visit to a California salon, Devon's passion ignited, leading her to master her craft before returning to Washington to start her very own salon. Now she leads a 6-chair salon, the Alchemist Beauty Lounge, driven by her love for teaching and fostering a beauty community. We are excited to connect with her today. So Devon, do you feel like you have made it?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I definitely feel like I've come a long way from what I decided in the beginning 20 years ago. It'll be 20 years since I went to beauty, or since I got my license on the 9th of September. So we're coming up on that. And it's insane to think that I've done this for 20 years, but all my steps have got me to where I am now. And I feel like at this moment, yes, I guess I've made it. I still have so many more things I want to do though. So, this is definitely at this point of my career, I feel solid and strong in the decisions I've made. And my clients, are always giving me positive feedback on everything all the steps that I've done. And they've a lot of the ones here have followed me since I've first moved back and started to do my own salon thing, with first being a sole proprietor and, renting a booth for the first time and growing from there up to they followed me through all the different steps going into my suites and then starting to add in my associate program and now opening, my 6-station salon that is still empty, but we're going to fill it. So it's going to be good.
Yes. Well, oh my goodness. Well, first of all, let's just acknowledge happy 20-year anniversary. I know
Thank you.
Seems like quite a number that we probably didn't even imagine, right? In the sense of are we almost already at 20 years? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that first comes to mind is, how much has the beauty industry changed over those 20 years that you have been in it?
A lot in some ways and then a lot and not in others, right? And so the whole social media thing, that was not a thing when I was in beauty school. Social media wasn't internet was just becoming a thing where you were still IMing people through AOL or things like that. And so then, I started learning more about Instagram and Facebook and MySpace all slowly kind of started integrating in, and it still wasn't a thing for me until I became out on my own and I wasn't in a salon that was, I was an employee and they were bringing everyone to me, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, this is cool. But then it's overwhelming because now it's all of a sudden we're having to be photographers and these good videographers
Yes.
on top of being producing good hair and the style of hair it began when I was in school. It was there were specific styles, and they have the names and things that are coming out the wolf cut and all that, but everyone you did a traditional foil, you just you did a weave and you added colors a specific way, but now it's so much more creative, right? I feel the creativity and the ability to utilize your creativity has exponentially grown in the last 20 years. Everyone's wanting these elaborate things, and it's oh my gosh, it's not just a 45-minute full foil application. I'm this is going to take me to do this natural lived-in look. It's going to take us all day.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you are so correct. You are correct in the sense of we did not see that we would become content creators. Mm-hmm. That was just not even, you and I both have grown up with that. That wasn't even like a career,
No.
to be like any type of like
an influencer
media person.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. So this was like a whole new avenue that really kind of swept the beauty industry, which I think it has been really incredible for the beauty industry as well, because it has really kind of amplified talent and showcasing what you can do and really kind of expanding. Because that's one of the things that a lot of, hairstylists think, talk about is like education, right? Is like, how do they grow and seeing, who's around them. So 20 years ago, it was really who you were working next to, right?
Yeah.
Or if you went to one of the big shows and you would see someone up on stage. And so now it has evolved so quickly into it's right at our fingertips on a device where we can really start to see like, oh my gosh, what is the new trend? Although I think trends are going so fast now that it's different than what you're saying of like, okay, you picked like, are you wanting like short, medium, or long length? Do you want layers? It was very more kind of straightforward in a way, but it really has kind of amplified the creativity aspect, I think, as well as all of us just kind of catching up to speed of like, oh my gosh, I have to like stay on top of trends and new apps and I'm now a videographer and now I've got to make sure I catch content of my customers. So
I think it's really helped though, with the ability to have clients now valuing our work and understanding the amount of, because all those stylists out there that are really great at taking like videos and making reels and stuff of like their application processes and like what it goes into creating these specific looks that these people are looking like, oh, well, that looks easy. I want that. And then you're like, oh, well, that's going to be, $350, $400. And they're like, what? And back when I first was like coming out on my own, like I had to really explain myself to people, like my prices. I was coming from a high-end salon in California and I was moving back to this area where the cost of living isn't much different, but people's like experience in the beauty industry in this area hadn't really, it was like one of those things back in the day. I was like always saying like, okay, like everything starts out in Europe, right? In Milan and all that. And like the trends make their way to like the bigger cities like New York and then LA. And then they like trickle out to like, the tiny little areas, in like rural America. And everything's like 10 years behind, right? Well, now it's not that way. Everything is on top, and like people with social media and internet and all of that, like all the trends are there now. And like, so it's really great. Like I can be here and not have to feel like I'm like 10 years behind on doing all the work, but also feeling validated now because I'm not having to like defend my pricing anymore. Like I'm like, I can be like, this is what it's going to cost me to do it. And they're like, okay, cool. Like when I get that now, it's like so nice, because before I'm like, felt like I was like fighting them. I'm like, well, I've been doing this, I worked in a high-end salon. I have like, thousands upon thousands of dollars of advanced education behind my belt. Whereas like maybe, the person you work going to doesn't. And that's why they're charging, half of what I'm charging. I don't know what they did and what they have into themselves and stuff, but I value myself at this because this is the amount of time and energy I put into it. So now I feel like with social media and stuff, we don't have to do that as much. And it's really, really, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. It's really refreshing in a sense for that, for sure. So tell us a little bit about your journey. So you touched a little bit upon that you did work for a salon in California, but give us a little bit of, so obviously 20 years ago, you graduated, and then take us a little bit through that.
Yeah. So I had never thought I was going to go into the beauty industry. Like I was like, oh, from a really small town and about 2,500 people in it. Everyone in my family, not a whole lot of people have gone off to college in my family. And so, everyone's like, Devon, you got to do this. You're going to go to college. You're going to make something of yourself. And I'm like, cool. Like, yes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to college. But then I'm like, this sounds really boring. Like, I didn't want to go to college. Like, I'm not a test taker. It gives me anxiety. I have really bad test anxiety. Like that kind of stuff stressed me out. Like I'm gonna have an ulcer by the time I'm 20, I'm 18 and I'm like, I'm gonna have ulcers and I'm like, I can't do this. So when I went to California to visit my aunt, she took me to her salon that was really nice and fancy. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know places like this existed. Like, and then I was talking to the stylist and she was explaining to me how like she's making 6 figures. I'm like, wait, what? That's a thing? I can do that? And then I get to like play with people's hair. I've always done my friends' hair and played with their hair and stuff, but I'm like, I can't make a career of that. So once I realized that that was an option, I went to beauty school right after I graduated high school. And worked at my first job was at Regis in the mall here at Capitol Mall. And it was a great starting point, you know, and then I had the opportunity, my aunt that took me to a fancy salon offered to help me move to California. And I was like, done, sold. I was 21. I'm like, gone. I'm going to California. I'm going to live in the sun, get away from the rain here in Washington. It's not my thing really, but yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm going to live here. I'm going to work at that salon. Like, so I didn't even look at other salons. I'm like, I know nothing about any other salon in this area. I'm going to go work at that salon. That was my, you know, my dream salon that gave me my inspiration. And I did. I walked in there. I had a letter of interest explaining my story, and the owner was like, you're awesome. Like, I'm hiring you. I'm like, oh, when do I get to hear about like when I'm hired? He's like, oh, you're already hired. This was just an informal. It's like, your letter, I'm putting that in a newsletter. Everyone's going to read about it. I'm like, because I basically was like, you guys are awesome, you know? So he's like, I like your letter. So I worked there for 9 years. It's a multi-level salon. And but you're an employee, so you get paid hourly. And so yeah, it's a great, I love that for myself because I'm a goal oriented person. I get bored really easily and I need a challenge, right? So I started out as assistant in an associate program, and I did that for 6 months, got on the floor and just slowly worked my way up. And it's like, every time I was like, I want to make more money. What do I need to do? And I would just like bust it out and do it. So it was a great salon to work at. If I wanted to learn something, I would go to Hosh and I'd be like, this is what I need to know. And he's like, all right. And then he'd be like, who else wants to learn this? And there'd be like, me. And then he's like, okay. And he made it happen. Either bring the education to me, or we would get to go fly off to education. And I got to go and do LA Fashion Week. And I worked with some top salons or stylists and the industry. And it was amazing. So that's what I want to create here in my salon. I want to have that opportunity. I want to be able to have, you know, the revenue through this salon that my stylist can earn their education dollars. And then they can be like, hey, Devon, I really want to go and learn how to do this specific cut or this kind of technique. And like, cool. All right, let's figure it out. And who wants to go? And like, I'll ship them off.
Wow. So, okay, first of all, you have incredible drive and ambition. And the fact that you had this one particular salon is really what started your entire path. I am sure that owner manager, when they saw you come in, they were like, of course. I love the fact that she was like, I'm telling every newspaper like about this, because you know, that is such a great backstory, first of all. And to know that was the salon, like, I can't imagine if I was that salon owner, knowing that this is what got you started. Of course. Oh my gosh. And I love the fact that 9 years, you got to experience what sounds like a great system of management support, being open to training. It sounds like that was such a foundation for you in the sense of like setting the groundwork. I mean, way to hit a home run right away, right?
Yeah.
Straight out of school. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and you know, getting,
oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, getting to know that, you know, there's all the different levels of like types of stylists. You got the career stylist, the job stylist, and then the hobbyist, right? And so I feel like if you want to make this your career, you need to go into a program like that. You need to do that associate program starting right out the gate of beauty school, because, you know, beauty school is great for getting your foot in the door, but it teaches you the very bare basic minimum. And if you can find a program that's going to give you that advanced knowledge and not have to come out of your own pocket. I mean, classes can be anywhere from $50 up to $2,000, $3,000. So, you know, it's an amazing thing. And I feel like if you want to make this your career and you want to rock it, you need to find a program like that.
Yeah. So it sounds like that's what you're creating in your area. Well, and that sounds like an incredible opportunity for someone who's coming out of school, because I think that that is so needed in the industry, right? There seems to be this missing link of coming out of school, and you just kind of nailed it, of like, it is a foundation. And I think that there is a little bit of a misconception with some young professionals now where, if we talk about the flip side of social media, they're seeing a lot of people at the top of their game who have decades under their belt that are doing these amazing things. And so I think that there might be a misunderstanding that they are seeing this on their screen, nonstop all day, of all different people at these different levels, but they're thinking that they can come right out of school and be at that level. And I think that that can be such a harsh wake up call once they get into the industry, that it's really, there is some more work to be done, figuring out your specialty, figuring out all of these things. And if they don't find their right place of belonging, we have some statistics that they are getting discouraged and leaving the industry completely. And I think that, what you are providing is such a needed thing in this industry. And what a background that you have all of this knowledge of what you would like to offer to people, because that is what you had the experience of for yourself. And so I absolutely love that. And I can 100% relate to getting bored easily. So I do have that same, I have that same issue myself. So tell me a little bit more about this. So it sounds like you basically, I'm going to assume, had reached a top where maybe you would have told me in that career you would have made it if we had interviewed you back then at your 9 years at that, right? So feeling, I'm assuming, a little bit hungry for more. Tell me a little bit how you jumped back to Washington and where you are today.
Okay. So I would have said that. Like, I made it up to the top level there. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I worked so hard to get here. I had a goal of like, I want to be to this level by this many years. And, I thought 5 years, that's what I told in my head. But, then we had our recession in 2008, and that was a huge thing to learn. And I feel like that was an amazing experience to live through, especially coming forward into COVID, right? Because then we had another situation where you had to figure things out. So I hit that top level, and then I was like, all right, cool. Now what do I do? Right? I'm like, I have no more goals. I'm like, okay, well, this is going to get boring pretty fast. So I had already started imagining, I didn't want to leave my salon, but I didn't, at that moment, they didn't offer anything more, right? You were just an employee at that level, and you could get raises, like smaller raises throughout the years, right? And that's great for some people. I mean, I have friends that still work there. They've worked there since they were 18, and they're now pushing 50. So they've been at that salon for that long, and it's amazing. And I love it. I still interact with everyone on social media, talk to them, everything. Love that salon. But for me, I needed more, right? So then suites were becoming a thing at some, probably halfway through that, probably about 4 years before that 9-year mark was when all of a sudden Sold the Salon and all these other salon suite, Phoenix, all these salon suites were coming. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I can go be my own little business. And because I didn't want to necessarily go to a different salon and be in a different culture, right? I loved my culture, but I was like, I want to create my own space, because there's a little things that, always annoy you, and you're like, oh, I don't like this and I don't like that. And I want to create my own experience for my guest, right? And so I was like, I'm going to do that. So my friend and I were going to move out into one of the suites together. But then I had a loss in the family, and it hit my mom really hard. And so then all of a sudden I felt this innate need to move home, which I never thought would happen, because I'm like, get me out of Washington. I do not like the gray and the gloom and the rain. It's really hard. I get social. I remember I get what is it called? Seasonal depression. I'm like, I like waking up to sun and knowing that I'm going to have sun every day. It's great. Everyone's like, doesn't it get monotonous? I'm like, no, not at all. I do not take it for granted one day. But anyways, it was strong. I've never lost anyone before that was young. It was my aunt, and my mom and her were only 9 months apart. So she was like another mom to me. They were like basically Irish twins, and it was a huge thing. So my mom, I was like, I got to go. I'm going to go. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to be doing this new thing on my own, and I'm just going to go. And so my mom was freaking out, because she's like, you have a career, you have this job with a 401k, it's vacation pay. And I'm like, nope, I'm coming home and I'm going to figure it out. And I have a lot of support and people help me get up here faster than I wanted. Like I could have had I done it on my own. And I moved back and I just went around, found a place that seemed like a good start. And we didn't have suites here. There was no suites in Olympia at all. So I found a salon that was similar to suites. We had our own little rooms. It was her own little makeshift suite situation. So I'm like, cool. And I did that and I just blasted it on my Instagram or my Facebook. It added every single person I knew and went from there. Like, I mean, I had like friends, guys that were a couple grades ahead of me in school, Facebook messaging me, hey, how much are your haircuts? My girlfriend needs a new stylist. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I haven't seen you in like, 10 years, but cool. Here you go. Like, here's my info. And so I slowly like built up that way. And luckily I moved back to an area where I was from and it's a small town area. Olympia is small in its own right. And then Elma's pretty close too. It's like a 20-minute drive. And so everyone that lived out in the harbor worked up here. So it was nice because I had all these, now it's almost like a high school reunion every day. I mean, I have so many people I grew up with that come to me now. And I'm even doing my middle school music teacher's hair.
Oh my gosh.
It's really weird not calling her by, Mrs. Swan. And I'm like, oh, hi, Anne. I'm like, it's really hard to say Anne.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. I think I would struggle with that too, right? Because we're just so conditioned. Yes.
Yeah. So, I just went from there. And as I was going, it's again, like, then I had started having some knee issues and found out I had pretty severe arthritis in both my knees when I was, after I had my daughter at 35 and COVID hit, and I started really having these issues. And I'm like, oh, and my doctor's like, well, basically you're gonna have to find a new career. And I'm like, oh, no, I was bawling as I left my doctor's appointment because I'm like, I like the idea of going to work in an office. I'm like, what do I do? Get a state job? I'm like, I'm gonna slowly die in that cubicle. Like, I can't do that. So then I started having to really resonate on what am I gonna do with myself now? And I had this suite with 2 chairs that, I still was planning on moving out of my 2 chairs because my friend who I'd moved in with the suite, flash forward, I missed that part. I moved out of my other salon into the suites during COVID because we wanted to be able to help our guests feel comfortable. And there were some situations happening at the other salon where people weren't following the guidelines. And legally, I didn't want to have that issue. And so we went off on our own. And that was great. But then she decided to move to Texas. So they left. And then I was like, well, I don't really know anyone else in this area. Like that, none of my, again, going back to the whole, like, people leaving the industry, like all the girls that I was friends with from beauty school, none of them were doing hair anymore. And so I didn't know who to reach out to and to share my space with. It was a small space. And that's a hard thing to make that decision to just like share the space with a random person. Right. And so then I was talking to one of my sales reps, and she was explaining to me about, Summit Salon systems and stuff and their associate program. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I looked into that and like, oh, well, this is cool. This is like my associate program, but better because like I have these things where you got to like have like their system is you like actually get to hands-on with your educator, whereas mine was you just observed, you watched, you asked questions, and you did shampoos and blow dries and learned through the advanced training that they gave you and stuff. But like to get to be hands-on, like I didn't get to do that for like 6 months. I didn't actually get to cut or color hair except for if I brought models in. But again, I wasn't from the area in California, so I didn't have a lot of friends that I had made yet. So I didn't have all these friends and family to be doing their hair. So it was hard, So this, I'm like, well, this is awesome. Like they get to actually be hands-on in this program. So I really started looking into it. And then I finally decided, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to open a salon. And then I started resonating and thinking about all the things about like my salon in California that I loved and what I wanted to advance on in that. And like, what would I change and what could I do to help nurture all the different types of stylists, right? Because there's going to be people who want to be in the salon and not have to ever be in charge of their own books and ever be in charge. They want to go, they want to know they have the security of clients coming in and getting paid, and they can call out sick if they need to and have sick leave and like all those things, right? And not have to deal with it. Like they have a reception desk. I'm like, that was something I loved in my 20s. I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling well today. And so I call in and like, then the receptionist takes care of calling all my clients. Like as a young stylist, that was really nice. But now, I'm like, then, you go off on your own, because when you're on your own, you have to do all of that. Like you're puking in the floor or in the bathroom and you're having to call your clients and be like, sorry, I don't feel good. And then either you get them the understanding, but then there's those people who are not. And they're like, no, you can come do my hair while you're throwing up. And I'm like, no, but I can't. So,
right.
Yeah. So getting to know that there's all those different types of people, right? And I want to be able to harvest people's, what is the word? Their strengths, and like give them other opportunities besides doing hair. Like if they're really into the social media stuff, I'm like, cool, you can be in charge of creating the content, and I will help you. I will pay you for your extra time. Like wanting to see what they're doing. Oh, this person really likes educating on this stuff. Like let them do that. So it makes them have like more of a purpose. And then eventually I want to be able to open my own salon suites, right? Because then once I want to be able to have an opportunity for my stylists that are like me, that didn't want to like necessarily leave the salon culture I was in, but needed more, right? And so have these suites be like, okay, well, you can definitely go out. I want to help teach you how to be your own business owner. And you can create your own little business. But guess what? You get to still be a part of our community. And if we're having education, you get to come. And I'm going to ask you to come back and train my younger people, right? So like give them a purpose, but let them, like, if they need to spread their wings and go, they have that ability to do it. And so that's kind of where I wanted to go with like what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that that's incredible because there is so many different avenues that professionals want to go, right? Mm-hmm. I love how you say that there's different types of, professional personalities, right? And, some of them are totally okay with like, this is, they want to work in a salon. They like their comfort of that and having that flexibility. Then there's going to be others that are more like you, that have this drive and ambition of like check marks of where they feel like they've succeeded. And then once they've succeeded, they itch for that new challenge. And I love the fact that you have a goal of having your own suites as well, but also still offering the support of a salon. That is something that I have not seen. And I have a background in managing a salon and I have a background in managing salon suites. So I think that the two is actually such a brilliant idea in the sense of, when I managed a salon, yes, there are going to be people. I had people just like you who were itching to have their own place. And I thought that that was actually incredible, right? That they have this drive and ambition. And then I also, from managing salon suites, I spoke to, hundreds of suite owners that absolutely either loved the suite model or they craved the foundation of a salon setting and having someone to bounce ideas off of. And maybe not all your neighbors are your favorite people. And so they kind of struggled with that, feeling somewhat isolated in the suite setting if they didn't meet, neighbors that they could kind of have this. And I love the fact that you are bridging the two of them together and creating almost like this ladder that they can climb based off of what their goals are. And you're basically going to be a guide and a supportive role in their career, no matter where it is that they're going. And I love the fact that you're just so open to, hey, what do you like to do? Oh, you like social media? Perfect. Okay, let's have you focus in on that, right? So because I can imagine that even though we have just talked about like how fast 20 years, how many things have changed, and social media is one of the biggest things. I can't imagine what the next 5 years looks like, and even 10 years, because it seems like it just keeps rapidly changing faster and faster. But that is incredible. So you currently have the stage where you have your salon, your 6-chair salon. And so I know that you're in the process of hiring. And so tell me a little bit, do you have any team members? Like, Tell me a little bit.
So I had a team member that she'd come in with me, and she had been at a salon. Like, she came and externed with me, and it was great. I loved her. And then she's like, "Oh, I've already committed to this other salon." And so I'm like, "Okay, wonderful. I get it." And so she went off there, and then flash forward a few months, I get a message from her, and she's like, "Hey, like, are you still like doing your associate program? Or, like, where are we at with that?" She's like, "I'm not feeling like I'm confident enough in my abilities, or that I'm going to get the support I need at this salon, that I feel like your program might actually be better for me." I'm like, "Wonderful, great. Yeah, come on, like, come on in and we'll talk it out." So I brought her in, and she was with me, and we worked 4 months through the program. And, there's always going to be hiccups and stuff, right? And so she's from out of state. She decided that they were going to move home, right? She's like, "I'm ready. I want to move back to be closer to my family." I'm like, "I get that. I mean, that happened to me. I left my place, and I saw it resonated. I'm like, good, go. You need to go home. You go home, right?" And so I was sad to see her go, but it was fine. And then, because she needed to go, she wanted to go and get a full-time job so she could save the money to go. And so that I couldn't offer that. I could only offer her part-time. And I was still figuring out my program. So I was like, this is fine. Go ahead and go. And so then once I didn't have another associate until I opened this place. It kind of came out of nowhere, and it was like a fast, and I was super stressed, and I was trying to move into a new house at the same time. And I had two contractors from like the salon and this, like, my salon and my house going on at the same time. And I was like just running behind with all my guests, and I'm like, this is hard. And so the stylist actually reached back out and was like, "Hey, like, things aren't working out, and we're going to stay here longer." And so she ended up coming back, and I was like, "God, thank you, God." Like, I needed that. And it was great, and it was awesome. And she was back for a few months, and then decided to move back to Utah again. So I'm like, okay. So she's recently just left. So, growing pains, living and learning. But at that point, I had another girl coming in and externing from that beauty school. And so that's Jess. That's who's going to be coming in September. I'm super excited for her, and I think she's going to rock it, and it's going to be really good. And then, so now I've just been going off, and I don't necessarily want to like hire other stylists that aren't like through my program, but I've decided, if the right person comes along, I will 100% be open to meeting with them and stuff. So, that's kind of why I reached out with Canvas Me and stuff, so I can start figuring that out. But, so it's just been, it's definitely been a challenge for me to figure out how to find people in this industry to come to me. Like, I'm here.
100%.
Like, how do you let them know? Like,
Exactly. And we also know that it's about finding the right fit. Mm-hmm. So, and I know that, you really touched on a key thing that I think, going into this journey of opening your own, 6-chair salon, there is some, unexpected things that are going to come your way. And, one of the biggest things is recruiting, and it just always is about finding that right fit. But you may have an idea of what that person is or where they're at in their career. But then it's also, I love the fact that you're kind of like, actually, if it's the right person, and regardless of where they are in their stage, if it's the right person, then it will be the right person, and we'll figure it out. And I think that it's also just it's just so fun to hear, like, you're going through all of these things, but also staying so positive about, like, it's okay, we're just going to roll with this. I'm learning, like, I'm in this new chapter of, having these bigger goals, and this is just one of the stepping stones. And tell me, what do you feel are some of like your wins with, I know that you've had, just this one candidate who, you were able to hold on to for just a little bit, and then this new one coming on. Like, what are some onboarding tips do you think that are some wins that you have already experienced?
I just think really getting your face out there. I definitely, on social media, I went on and I started just going through all the students because all the students now are making social media pages, which is amazing, because then they can start posting their work. So stylists like me and owners who are trying to find them can like kind of follow them, right? So I think if you're going to start trying to onboard stylists, especially into an associate type program where you want people who are coming straight out of beauty school, make a relationship with the beauty schools in your area, right? So I've been going down and keeping in contact with the Centralia Beauty College, and then now Evergreen Beauty College has just opened up on the west side of Olympia. So I've been really going down, walking around. I made pamphlets about my associate program, explaining it and stuff. And so I go down and I am involved in the salon. I'm going to set up sometimes to go teach some classes down there. And I just walk around and talk to all the stylists. Then whenever they have an event, I'm there and just talking with them and explaining my program to them. And so by doing that, and then also getting them, telling them, follow me on social media, and then I can follow you and follow your journey through school, right? So I think that's a really great way to help get your name out there, as well as get to see that incoming, talent coming out and see on their social media, like, how are they portraying themselves? Do they feel like somebody who would be a good fit in my salon? So, I've been really, that's what I did with Jess. I met her, we talked, we resonated right away with each other. And she came in and was able to offering the externing programs too at your salon. Like, I've been loving having people come in and just getting to teach them and let them watch hands-on and letting them do showing them how I like my shampoos and the blow dries done, and teaching them things one of my current externs that just was with me for a while. She went and she came back and she's like, I've been showing everyone how I've been doing towel wraps on all of my clients, and they're all thinking this is amazing. And all the other girls are like, how do you do that? And so just something like that, I never would have thought that was something that would be that exciting, but just having that one little thing that they can do for their guests at the beauty school, even I feel that's something they should teach at beauty school. It's so you're not having your clients walk back to the stations dripping wet. So,
right. Yes. Well, I totally resonate with the fact of, following a student's journey. And that's where, Canvas Me with those portfolios for students and professionals, they can sync all their social media channels, because we do know how important it is for owners like yourself and hiring managers, because that is where they're showcasing a lot of their work. I'm just curious. So as you're visiting schools, first of all, I love this. And I love that right away they're interacting with you, because we do know that, this younger generation, they're a little more comfortable behind the screen than they are in person. And I'm just curious as to, are you hearing any feedback from them in the sense of what ultimately they're looking for, once they graduate school? Are there key things they're looking for in salons or anything like that?
When I was talking about my program, I haven't necessarily had them tell me these things, but recently when I went to the new school that just opened up, I was explaining my program, and the students that the educators were bringing over, they're kept bringing over specific stylists, students that they thought were going to resonate with what I was talking about. And they were all like, oh yeah, that's great. I do know I need this advanced knowledge, right? I'm scared to just go out and start doing hair. And I remember that. I'm like, wait, what? You want me to do what? I've never cut that haircut before. And so you just fake it till you'll make it is what they used to teach me back 20 years ago. They're like, oh, just pretend you know what you're doing and the clients won't know any better. And I'm like, okay. So they all loved the ideas of having this advanced education, this ability to go in and make money, but still get to be learning, and then having their opportunity days. Like they said, they really liked that, where they get to go. And so they're with me the 3 days a week, working and hands-on with me and my guests. And then they can take that knowledge and do it on friends and family and request clients through their program. And then the great thing about it is eventually, once they're on the goal is by the time they've made it through the program in 6 to 8 months, they'll have a clientele to kind of buffer that transition. So they're not sitting there bored on their days they're working, waiting, Especially since this day and age, we don't get a whole lot of walk-ins anymore. There's not a whole lot of places, especially higher end salons, a salon that really caters to isn't going to a salon where you just cut cuts and stuff, quick cuts and all that, those chain salons out there. they get the walk-ins, but like at my salon, I don't get just people aren't just going to come walking into my space, So I'm like, I'm not going to have that ability to offer that to my guests or my stylists. So until I think it gets a little bit more known, then we'll get more calls, I'm sure. But the whole sitting there waiting for a walk-in to come through the door isn't going to happen these days. I don't think that works anymore. People aren't just going to blindly go in anymore to get their hair cut, So
yeah, I definitely have noticed that is a little bit of a shift in the sense of, it really depends on kind of like where you're located and also kind of your establishment, right? Mm-hmm. So like those that are still in malls, those make sense, right? Mm-hmm. So, okay, well, I love that they're resonating with what you're saying in the sense of like, they're probably relieved, especially if you were like, yeah, I was told to fake it till I make it. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
Don't do that to me. Yeah. So, yeah. So what do you feel is your purpose?
I feel like now my purpose is to help cultivate these younger stylist careers. Like, I feel like I've made it to a point where I don't have to like even think about it anymore. Like, people come to me because they see my work and they're like, you're great. And then it's like, I only want to work so many hours in a day, and I only want to work. I was like, I only want to work 3 days a week because I have a daughter and she's she's about to start kindergarten, but I want to be able to, that's the great thing about this career is that you can kind of cultivate the style, like the schedule you want. Right. And I want that to be an ability for my guests or my stylists. And so, my purpose now is like, there's only one of me, right? And so now I want to create more of me, like I want to be able to know that like, okay, I can't get you in, but this person is amazing and they're going to treat you just as well as I could treat you, right? And so that's where I want to create this like home for stylists that are like-minded and want to help each other and want to work together as a team and just be everybody's cheerleader, right? And have every guest walk in through our door and know that no matter what stylist they talk to, what stylist they see, they're going to be treated like this is their home and that like they're welcome and that they're loved here and appreciated, right? Because I definitely have seen a shift, especially since COVID, in the lack of customer service. Because I feel like now it's like, where people there's the ability to have workers that are going to stay working and like show up is not there. So, as little as going to like Burger King the other day, I was grabbing a sandwich quick and this lady was just completely rude to me the entire time and acted like I was inconveniencing her. And I'm like, I know this is Burger King, but at the same time, like, can you smile at me? So I want every guest to know, like, when they come to the Alchemist Beauty Lounge, they're going to get treated like they're everyone's favorite person. And that's like what I want for here. And so my purpose is to create that environment now and to create stylists that understand the value of that,
Well, I think you have a beautiful dream that you are making happen. And I also love the fact that you are just wanting to basically give to so much new talent, all of these skills that you've learned and creating also an experience not only for them as professionals, but also recognizing like how important that is to customers as well. So I am just truly inspired by your story in the sense of how much drive you had straight out of school into conquering your dream salon, achieving all of your goals there to, having to basically start over when you moved back home. And to me, it sounds like you just kind of figured things out. You started to promote yourself and you're just trying to figure out how am I going to network to, get a whole new clientele again. And I love the fact that it now is your little bit of a high school reunion now. So I think that's adorable. Yeah. But it's really quite amazing to see you through this journey. And I have no doubt whatsoever that you will have your suites at some point, and they'll probably be here sooner than later. And I just also love the fact that you're going into school, you're proactively connecting with the new talent that's coming out, because it truly is about helping them find their place of belonging. And to me, it sounds like you are creating such a great space that is the perfect stepping stone for them to really step into who they are, figure out, because there's so much you're going to learn right out of school, right? And being on the ground level for those first few years, you're trying to figure out what are your things, what are your specialties, what do you like, what do you don't like, right? Maybe all of a sudden you're like, maybe I don't like doing this. And it's all kind of connecting in the sense of you're really bringing in such an amazing environment for them that feels incredibly safe, also feels like incredibly uplifting as well, and supportive to what are your goals? Right? How can I help you? Right? I want you, do you want to do what I'm doing? I'd love to teach you to get to this point. And I think that is such a beautiful, beautiful message that you're putting out there.
Yeah. And, my favorite quote I heard the other day, it's like a year ago, but I mean, on the other side of fear is freedom. And so I really resonated with that because of all the changes and all the things I was doing it. So I just want everyone to remember that. I think everyone needs to write that down. I have it on my notebook on the front of it. I wrote it down because if you don't go and push past that fear of anything, whatever you're trying to do in your life, it could be as small little thing or as big as as small as just walking into a salon that you're really excited about but nervous, right, to go into, or opening your own salon. If you get past that fear and you don't let that fear take you over, there's freedom of getting to be where you want to be, freedom of time, freedom of everything. So I just was that's that quote, once I heard that, it's just that's in my head, and I just keep telling myself that if I start to feel scared, I'm like, damn it, on the other side of fear is freedom.
Yes, I am going to write this down because I love this, because it is so true. Fear is such a stopping point for a lot of people where they don't push past it. And I think that it's almost holding back all their potential. And wow, what a perfect message to end this on. I am so grateful that you were able to do this with me today. And thank you again. And I am just so excited to see your journey unfold.
Thank you. And thank you so much for, asking me to be a part of this. I feel really blessed that, you listened to my story and felt like it was, pertinent for other people to hear. So I really, it warms my heart, and thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I am so...
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Making It, the path to beauty industry greatness with Canvas Me. Our mission is to give you a voice, help you find your place of belonging, and empower you to thrive in this beautiful industry. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights that will fuel your own journey in your career. Head over to canvasme.com and unlock the next chapter of your beauty journey. Create your portfolio, showcase your unique talents, and connect with a community that understands and celebrates your story. Subscribe to Making It for more inspiring stories, and let's continue making it together.